Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. I see many faces from the past event and from Amsterdam times, so it's good that everybody here. I will ask, we are a little bit over capacity here, so if you guys can squeeze a little bit and not block the exits, both of the exit doors. Thank you. Yeah, welcome. So this is something that we want to introduce, which is a quarterly report. This is the same thing I'm repeating on the anniversary, but the anniversary was special because it's an annual report. So every quarter, we'll be visiting somewhere. By some kind of luck, we are in Amsterdam again. We just love Amsterdam. And let's start it. So I actually want to start talking about three most important and defining things on our company, which are our mission. And our mission is bringing distributed finance to everyone. Our mission is not to build a glorified gambling system. Our mission is to actually solve issues and bring decentralization to the finance world. A DEX is an important component on that. It's how people are going to exchange between values and assets that they have. It's not how they're going to only speculate on value or try to gain values on that. So our goal here is not only to launch quickly, make the most profit we want in some shady island and run away, right? So we want to empower the world to invest in, trade, and manage digital assets. We actually put a number on this. Everybody knows our goal is 2031 billion. It's a very big goal, but that's our goal. So we need to build great products to get there. So we focus on compliance, not because we want to be different, but because we believe it will be important to realize this goal. So if you want to be here in 2030, talking about powering the distributed finance, we need to still be here, right? So that's why compliance is key, and that's why driving compliance is key. So here, today, I have the pleasure to have another two founders, Fabio and Tom, and they will be joining later on the presentations. So vision. So the vision is, if we want to empower the world to do distributed finance, how we get there. So we believe that a safe and user-friendly experience is at the core of that. So safe here is much more than have a hardened server where people cannot hack into it or to have security policies. Safe is also on how you feel when you use it. So today, people got used to use their credit card and use the banking systems. They feel safe into having their salaries, their wealth in it. So a lot of people use simply saving accounts on their banks. And that's the same kind of trust. But I'm not saying trust on blind trust. I'm saying trust in how you feel about that we refer when you say safe. And user-friendly is because it should feel natural. So we want to fit to how the user should be using it. We not want to make the user fit the system. So we wish to offer customers of all kinds the best user experience and the most secure one. All kinds here, I refer to all types of users. So we want both professionals and everyday users, retail or not, to be using this system and to be using in such a way that the user experience is friendly to them. So if I'm a high-frequency trader, the APIs and the systems that I use to manage my accounts should be user-friendly for me to achieve my goals, the same way that me as a retail user just want to trade Bitcoin to NEO should be super easy. And third, and maybe more important, is the values of how we get there. So we have two values, and they drive everything down. It's our people and integrity. So we value individuals and diversity. So valuing individuals is key here because it means that a single individual should be as important as the whole. So that's why the DEX is there, because when the user has ownership of his keys, he is empowered to be as free as he can. And diversity, because we do really believe then when we have a diverse team and we have a diverse world, a diverse economy, we can bring much more value. And maybe believe is a strong word. We truly know it because it has been shown. So by trading, we spend our fortunes. So here, we value individuals in diversity. By promoting our employees' individual freedom, our company can achieve excellence in everything we do. So a lot of people who join X, they say something to me, which is, usually I just have a deadline and to deliver this on that deadline. Doesn't matter how it got there. So we have been trying to, as a company, not give deadlines and keep you, the investors, happy with the deliveries that we have done. At the same time that internally in our teams, we have to say, do the best way. Even if it's take a little longer, it's a little bigger, and maybe you need more people, maybe you need more time, but we really believe in excellence. Because if you do it right, you do just once. And sincerely, in distributed finance, you do only oneself. There is no second chance. So to achieve our mission, our vision, and our values, we need to bring next to the other step. So there are two reasons here. One, we need to empower more our brand. We need to work more our brand. Many people in the communities and across the space have noticed that we have not invested so much in our brand. And there's a reason for that. So to be completely transparent to our community, in the past two months, a little bit more, we have been through a process where we are rebranding the company. And we actually started just as a renaming due to a legal case. But as soon as we got there, we discovered that we could do much more. And the renaming became a rebranding. So next is now going to be called Nash. Okay? Nash is an homage to I'm a great mathematician, and it's also a simple word that's much easier to market it. So instead of we promoting neonexchange.org to everyone, we'll be promoting Nash.io. It's a much more shorter and powerful way to market. So that's why you have not putting so much money on the next brand, because we have a new brand. And I want to invite Nate here, our chief designer, to talk about our brand.
Hello guys, for anyone who doesn't know me, I am Nathaniel. I'm the Chief Design Officer at Nex, or now Nash. So, as Fabio said, we didn't take this opportunity just to rename. We also decided to actually have a look at our brand as a whole and refine it and actually replenish parts of the visual assets, basically. So we kept the current color scheme because we felt that within the finance and blockchain space, it actually worked very well. But we decided to change the general style overall, some of the iconography and some of the visual assets, which you'll get to see in a bit, basically. So in terms of the actual design philosophies that we started, before we even put anything down on paper and before we designed anything, we thought about motion, speed, and approachability, as well as trying to align ourselves as much as possible with the mission, vision, and values. So current traditional financial systems, they can be quite cumbersome, quite slow. There's a lot of middlemen, there's waiting times, there's transaction fees. And with Nash, with our products and services, we want to avoid this as much as possible, connecting A to B in a very seamless and smooth manner. So how has this been put across into the logo? Well, we have this strong italicized typeface to start off with. And this basically tries to elicit the emotional response of speed and trust. We have the lowercase logo. So this was actually quite an interesting sticking point. So did we decide to go uppercase or lowercase? In the end, we decided to go lowercase because as a brand who is very much focused on our users and trying to kind of market ourselves to a wide range of audiences, lowercase seems the most obvious choice because it actually is a more approachable brand sort of a cue, effectively. We have motion lines on the left-hand side, again, trying to kind of bring back this idea of motion and speed. And also a little kind of association and subtle cue towards the currency strips on the back of a credit card. So again, trying to bring this sort of finance back into the logo. We have the embellished letters, so the on and the N and the H. You can see there are little nodules kind of sticking out there. This is to kind of represent the flow of assets through Nash. And finally, we have the smooth corners. So this font started off as quite a harsh font. It was nice, but it needed a little bit of refinement to actually bring that approachability and friendliness back into the logo again. Because of this, now we have a new token icon. So we have taken the motion lines, applied it into a circular sort of lozenges, if you will. And again, this is to kind of bring back a more of a currency feel compared to the hexagonal logo that we had before. We have a new iconography and illustration style. So before, we were very much an isometric and blocky brand. You know, it kind of fit itself within the blockchain niche market, but we want to expand globally. And to do that, we actually need to sort of simplify things, create assets that actually allow us to be more dynamic, generic enough that it appeals to a wide range of audiences, but still has that personality that can be aligned back to us. And now I'd like to pass it back to Fabio for Q4 architecture and security.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Nate. It's amazing work. So Q4 starts with a big change. We are certain it's a better change, and everybody's going to learn to love Nash as we are. So when we are after the break, we're going to distribute some new T-shirts. And as people ask it, some new hoodies, right? Yeah. And fear not is next of Nash Exchange. So everything fits nicely on the token ticker. So I'd like to start talking about this quarter, about something that we are really proud, which is this quarter, or this last quarter of 2018, was the fastest expansion we did. And we hope to do this same fast expansion in Q1. In Q4, it was focused on technology. So we brought people to work on deployment and security, and a couple of senior engineers to work on backend. And as we go on Q1, we are bringing people on some new reinforcement on the front end and people for support. Unfortunately, we did have people leaving the company, but at NET, we have 6 new people, and we are growing, and our goal is to continue to grow. We will reach a stable point on this year. It will be dependent on our growth as a company itself and in our revenue, of course. But we are confident that the size of the team right now is able to deliver the promise that we made. So, rebranding, I'd like to start right away with markets and communications. So markets and communications is something that is going to be pushed much more this year and was building next year, and especially because we have a new brand. So a lot of the assets since the beginning of the legal case have been kept and the deployments have been installed because we want it to be under the new brand. So you see things being released like the staking contract under the new social assets. So we have a new name, we have new social engagement initiatives, so you'll see new handles for our social assets, and we will try to migrate as much as possible. Of course, it's not perfect, but there will be a period phase where we will hold both brands, so people who is already aware of Next can learn that there was this change for the new name Nash. So we have a 2019 growth project. We're going to execute it during this year. In the 2019 growth project, we have a special program, which is the launch program. The launch program is based on some marketing initiatives and some in-person events, like this one. We're going to increase our media presence, and to do so, we're going to onboard new partners that are not going to be disclosed, as none of our partners are, because they are partners of the company. So you are expected to see a bigger push for Nash on media, and the reason is because we are confident that this is the solution for the problems that we are facing. And last but not least, we're going to double down the community focus. The community is really important, so everybody here If you are a member of the community, great. If you are not, you must join. So if you have invested in Nex, you believe in the future of Nex, you should join the community because that's how we're gonna organize and iterate on new initiatives during this year. So if you want to be part of these programs, you need to be on the community. That's the easiest way for us to reach you and for you to reach us. So with this change, we have a new face for the community. So the domain will change, not today, but the domain will change to community.nash.io. And together with it, we're going to revamp how the community looks like. So it's on the small details, but a lot of the issues that people notice, they are going away on this new redesign. And you're going to see the Nash brand exercised much more there. We are going to have important presence on February 17 at NEO.com. And on this presence, we're going to launch the new website, and we're going to start our large program. So if we are talking launch dates, you should have attended NEO.com and watch our presentation. I believe it's going to be live streaming as this one, so if you are not able, you'll be able to see online. It's really important for us to have our community together with us on the launch program. So just to reinforce, go to the community, join us, and be part of it. Another date of interest is April 27. So Nash is going to London. We're going to do our next quarterly report on London, and we hope we can talk about user numbers. The next update is about backend and match engine. So if you guys notice, the way I'm doing this presentation is I'm following groups inside the organization. So backend matching engine, their goal is mainly to build infrastructure around the core of the exchange, the matching engine. So there's a different team who handles blockchain, and there's a different team who handles front end. So the updates on the matching engine. And I will remember here the goals because they are much connected with the updates. So our matching engine, our backend system, is a multi-chain state channel manager. So what this means is it's a system that manages state channels on multiple chains. But it's not a system who talks directly to the blockchain. It has this layer in the middle. But this system itself, it needs to handle many different details in many different systems. We call it the monitor system, we call it the settlement system. And very important there is how we will authenticate. So here I'm saying that we are using ECC-based authentication, and this will bring an important feature for us in front end. So this brings back to front end, and we have something that we believe is really powerful there. Our matching engine is different than any other matching engine you see before because it has a very strict feature which is called determinism. So determinism means that whatever is input of this system gets one output, and you can run it in many different machines, many different ways, the output should be the same. So why that? We are doing that because we are aiming this decentralized version of the matching engine, where we have multiple versions of this engine running, proving the correctness of the system. So determinism itself is something that becomes a problem when you have time, when you have blockchain transactions that go on our goal, that stay pending on the funds pool. And again, it's built to be distributed. So there is actually a whole communication layer that goes around the matching engine. It's a lot to talk, so I'll try to show a diagram. So this is how the system is organized. Okay? So it's a lot of pieces, right? But you can see here at the matching engine, there is when you say he gives to her, her gives to him, he gives to him, he gives to her. So this is the core, and all around is how we deliver data to the system and how we get data out of the system. So it's not included here, the blockchain part. Okay, it's included, it touches it through the settlement and through monitoring how these things got broadcasted to the world and received to the world. So I'm showing this because this is mostly complete, and what the team is mainly focused on is on these integrations parts, is on the smart contract interactions, is on APIs to interface with the system. And I'm going to show you guys a video of this system doing some trades. And what you're going to see here is that it has some kind of heartbeat. It's because it actually has a heartbeat. So there are two events that are triggered on this system. It's the heartbeat and the market boundary. And together they work to make this deterministic system. So this is not a high-frequency demonstration. It's just to show you trading in a special way. And you can see on these trades here that I'm putting on a market which is gas NEO, same chain, and I'm putting on a market that's Ethereum NEO, same chain. So we have parallel markets, cross-chain or not, going on through the same matching engine. And you can see they are being matched. And the identification of the accounts is anonymous identification based on these elliptic curve keys that you have. So there's no identity leak, but it's provable that you can verify this is you, this is your order, and so on. Now I want to talk about blockchain and payments. So you guys haven't seen the matching engine, the system, how it is running. And as I said, we are now mostly on the phase of integrations and interactions. So blockchain payments is another thing that's core to the company, which is on the delivery of this MVP. And how do we get there is based a lot on smart contracts. But we are trying to transcend this as soon as we get the MVP and think about solutions for chains that do not support smart contracts. So we have also 4 important points here. So our blockchain system, they operate in a trade protocol that user funds are never at risk. So even if the case is that Nash, as the system I showed you guys, is compromised, the funds of the users are never at risk. So they cannot do a trade on your behalf. They can steal a bit of funds from Nex, but it's not what they think it is. So one very important thing here is when we make it modular, even if we increase complexity of the system, we decrease the complexity of the smart contracts. So the smart contracts, they are portable because they are small in itself, but not the code itself is small, but the amount of features that they use is small. So they can be ported to many different chains, some of them which have much less API resources than Ethereum and NEO. So it's ready for a distributed and a decentralized matching engine. So our goal is that when the distributed and decentralized matching engine comes into play, it requires no change from the smart contract logic, or I can say from the smart contract design. And last thing that should be obvious by our goals, but was repeatedly asked on the community. Yes, you can manually withdraw. We cannot say, hey, we are blocking your withdrawal. This is a bank, right? So we are not a bank. What we can do is we can block trades, but you can directly interact with the blockchain and withdraw your funds from our contracts. Always. And I'm going to show here is the test running from both the Ethereum system and the NEO system of the smart contracts. So this are testing everything related to the possibilities, and we believe they are ready, both on NEO, as you saw, and both in Ethereum, as you saw, and in NEO, as you can see today. It's a lot of tests. Now, front-end extension mobile. So, blockchain mostly finished. It's almost, what I can say is almost in sync with backend. So the same way the backend matching engine is working on interactions and smart contract communication, the blockchain side is working in interactions with the matching engine and APIs. So they are more or less interchained now. So the front end, there's a very important feature, and it's something that we already alluded to and talked about in our community. But as we see people trying to copy it in the wrong way, we decided to talk about it openly and clearly what's our goals, because this is a major differential. So at Next, we have a zero-knowledge key manager. We believe that the best custody system is no custody system. So our goal is to be fully non-custodian. And I'm obligated to put the word fully here because you see today absurd things like semi-custodial. What is semi-custodial? You have but don't have? Yeah, it's crazy. So zero knowledge means that Next has no knowledge, has no information, it never sees your keys. But we do manage keys in such a way that you can have this. And you have this at MVP launch. We will do better because there is more cryptography. So the way we achieve this, is not retrofitting login email. The way we achieve this is using cryptography to derive keys from same information that cannot be reproduced using the original information you have. So there's better things that we can do, and we will do it after MVP. What this allows? This allows the funds management. So funds management here is as you are used to when you enter in your bank, when you enter in a centralized exchange, you have your portfolio, you have your asset list, and you can transact with it. We can do it cross-chain, multi-chain, because we are using this zero-knowledge key manager using elliptic curve cryptography. And from that, we can derive keys for many different chains. So whenever someone says about you, custody but not custody, be scared. Zero knowledge is the only way you own your money. Another important thing here is cross-chain. So if you go today and look at transactions in the most liquid exchanges of the world, they are cross-chain. You are trading maybe Ethereum for a stablecoin, and that stablecoin is not running on Ethereum. It's running on maybe an Omni layer on Bitcoin. So this is a cross-chain transaction. Maybe you are trading Bitcoin against Ethereum. That's a cross-chain transaction. So we believe that cross-chain is really important. But we are not here to present blockchain-based solutions. The way cross-chain should look like is if there is no chain at all. So our goal is blockchain as the infrastructure, not the interface. And this is how cross-chain looks like. This is the Ethereum NEO market on our UI. And you can see here that the only thing you need to do is select Ethereum NEO in your current market. Finally, the last vertical of our company is legal compliance. maybe I can say that none of this is more important of the other, and they all work together. They all need to be realized so that we can achieve our goals. And we also have major wins, as we show in blockchain, as we show in backend. We also have in legal and compliance. So in Q4, we have US at launch. So several jurisdictions in the US is going to be available at launch, and we hope our coverage will increase as application progresses. And we have worldwide Bitcoin allowance also. That means that whenever the funds management that I just showed you and the exchange supports Bitcoin, Bitcoin will be live legally in all markets. And we have initial markets also. So initial markets, they follow the same thing that we presented. So on the anniversary, I said that every asset that needs to be traded, there would need to be some verification regarding the status as a utility and the legal backing of the company. We do have a system that's much more complex than normal centralized systems. So to be clear here, if you want to open a centralized exchange today, you can go to all code and buy with 40,000 and run a centralized exchange. So there are different things here, and we're going to release also at NEO.dev.com the listing document, which is the list of things that you need to be applying to list on Next. And our goal is that as our core value of integrity is how coins are listed in our system. So no shady pay me $1 million and I'm gonna list you. You need to go through this process. So as you can see, we have a stable coin market for most of the world. It's not guaranteed that they're gonna be available in Europe, unfortunately, but we will work for that. So I want to summarize this because lately I have been receiving lots of questions regarding how Next compares to the others. So the Nash exchange, how it is comparable to your leading centralized exchange, how it compares to the fake DEX that people is building or not, and how it compares with these DEX systems that people do with silver tape everywhere. So I want to talk about matching speed. So the goal of Nash is not to do 2 million trades per second and say, hey, we do more trades than NASDAQ. Our goal is that whenever you trade at Next, it's fast enough that you don't even know how many trades we do. The same way that if you realize is when you do in a good centralized exchange. You just put your order, it's matched, and you don't even know what's the speed of that. That's our goal. So centralized exchanges, are they faster? Yes, of course they are faster. They don't need the deterministic behavior that we are putting out. Our system is still faster than most decentralized systems. So for example, we have the fake DEX. The fake DEX is faster than a usual DEX. Okay? Why is it faster than a usual DEX? Is because it is using its own chain based on a centralized system. So that's why I'm calling it fake DEX. And you have the jury-rigged DEX. It matches okay, but is it settled? Do you see your transaction being settled on the blockchain? How long does it take to happen? That's why we went with the state channel solution, because we can compromise, we can stop this and do channels where you can do many orders, many transactions on that, and settle just the bulk of it. Our user interface is driven by user experience innovation. So we are presenting you guys a funds management system based on zero-knowledge key management, and we want to put it in the front of these people to operate on this cross-chain solution that's seamless. We are not, as other exchanges, just copying whatever is done in foreign exchange platforms of today. And we are not going to present you this blockchain-y thing that you have a block explorer to look at the trades that you put. Of course, you have the information enough to look in detail at the transaction, but that's not the interface that we want to put in your face when you enter it and when you interact with it. And if you compare to the jerry-rig DEX, they will just copy whatever we show, but they will copy in a blockchain way, and they will say, hey, our NEO V3 UI is now available. That's not our goal. Custody. We believe that's very important that users own their own tokens. And when I'm saying here, user own their own tokens, is not that you need to be logged with your private key and everything that you have needs to be there right away. What I'm saying here is that you should be the only one that can do a trade on your behalf, that can put or remove your funds, and you should be the only node that know which funds you actually have and have control of that. So when you trade in a centralized exchange, you trust the centralized exchange. There's no other thing. They own the tokens. What you want is a promise to that tokens. And the fake DEX, how it operates? It operates in anchors and tethers. And I'm not giving a single example here, unfortunately, on fake DEX. We know of live systems that call the most decentralized system, but you are trading just tethers. Do you trust the issuers? Do you know who the issuers are? And the jerry-rig DEX, it can call itself a DEX because users own their own funds. But you get your private key, you go to the website and you put your private key there. Transparency. So it has been always in our white paper from more than 1 year ago that we want to do a provably fair protocol. So we are going to a great length of cost and time to build this deterministic system so that people with the input log and the output log can see by themselves that the matches were fair. When user trades on a centralized exchange, they just trade the centralized exchange. You don't know if the order that was matched before yours really got before yours, or if it's just exploiting you, matching before and putting a new order at a new price that you just got matched because you do a market order. You are trusting them for the fairness of the matching. And this is not talked enough in our industry. On the fake DEX, you are using Tendermint like BFT. So you hire some Go developers to do a fork of Tendermint for you, and you run your own centralized nodes. Is this decentralized? Who controls the nodes? Controls when the transactions get there, and who is prioritized that? In other words, who controls the nodes control consensus. So it's not fair, and you are trusting a centralized system again. In the jerry-rig DEX, they have a coordinator. So if they want to match okay, they are not matching on the chain. So you have to trust their servers. They can do better. I hope they do, because it's a big problem. Security concerns. And here I say, which are the weak links on every of these things. So the security concerns in Nash is the users. So if the user itself got compromised, so if you lost your email, password, 2FA, ID, and you probably lost everything if you lost all that, but the user is the weak link, okay? Very important. And I'm putting here because we know ways, unfortunately, it will come after MVP, but we know ways that even when the user is compromised, we can do something. without controlling their funds. So on the leading centralized exchanges, the user is still the weak link, but you also have the centralized exchange. I'm very sorry for everyone that lost money on centralized exchanges. If you don't have access to your money, that can mean a lot of things. Maybe it's just a vacation, maybe it's just a movie, but maybe it's a house, maybe it's a hospital bill. So it's very serious. On the fake DEX, while they will promote it as a DEX, it's actually more insecure because now the users are still a problem. So if the users compromise, it's still a problem. And you have the chain issues. Maybe the smart contract has a bug. Maybe the chain itself has a problem. Maybe consensus is not even there. Maybe it can be attacked. Who controls the node? Do the controller of the nodes is secure? And you are still trusting the issuers. So maybe the user is safe. Maybe the chain is safe. But they are using a tethered Bitcoin. Does the issuer really has that Bitcoin to honor the promises? And the jury-rigged DEX users and the fairness matching, which is the problem. If they are hacked and there's nothing that you can look to monitor and prove that the match was fair, then people can just overrun you and profit from that. And the final thing is compliance. So we are pioneering this global decentralization of finance, and we want to bring further this. So we were the first to do a security public offering in Europe. We're going to be the first to try to do many other things. As I showed you, we're going to be the first to do the funds management the way we are, and we have more firsts to come. The leading centralized exchanges, they are not here to be forever. If you are a user of a centralized exchange, maybe you are a user of 3 or 5 of them. Think what's jurisdictions of the funds that you have there. Think if you know the answer for all those exchanges. And one important thing is that the jurisdiction the exchange runs don't necessarily needs to be the same where your funds are legally held. The fake DEX is decentralized. So you can do anonymous, you can do whatever you want. We all know this is not true. So try trading on the fake DEX because it's anonymous and doing tax next year. Jury-rigged DEX. Their approach is there's no legal precedent. I'm going to walk through the breaches. But you have to think here that legal is not made based on technology. So if you shoot someone today and kill them, you are prosecuted. If you use a laser gun, a phaser gun, or whatever comes after phaser gun, it's the same law. So laws do not apply only to technology. They apply to behaviors and outcomes. And this is a lesson that most people know, but they decided to do. There's no legal precedent. Thank you very much. We're going to do a break, then questions. You can go. We will start by throwing away some T-shirts and hoodies. If you get one, don't try to get another. Yeah, so basically, that's it. I can't see anything because there's the light right here. So. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Grab a few. Oop. Nice catch. of these.
There's two here, one more here.
Who wants a hoodie? Sorry, dude. Okay. So this is the second part of the event where we have taken questions from our discourse community and we will pose them at our three founders. So we have Fabio Canesin, who is the in charge of business lead and marketing. We have Tom Saunders, who is in charge of blockchain engineering, and Fabian Valle, who is in charge of legal. So I believe that the first one is for you, Fabian. So, okay, for staking, will token cell participants be required to pass KYC again on the same wallets/addresses, or are we all set for staking launch?
Okay, test. Great. So maybe before I dive into these questions, because many people approached me and asked actually how many legal staff do we have on our team. And currently it's really just me. And of course, I'm no expert in international law and all these fields we need to cover. So we are working with a group of approximately 30 people. And I can really say these are the best in what they do. And they usually work for the big guys. And the fact that they support us in our mission makes us pretty proud. Ironically, I cannot name them for legal reasons. But take my word for it, they're good people. So, yes, the same KYC applies for our exchange. So we will have a tier system, and the KYC people went through to get the up to 10,000 NEX will be the tier 1. So they don't need to go through it again. Right. US, so no matter whether you bought your tokens peer-to-peer or on other exchanges, you will be able to stake them, and you will just have to go through KYC. So that's also valid for US people.
Will US traders have access to the platform to buy and sell crypto?
Right. So here it could be two questions. So I'm assuming here it means buy with fiat, and via our partners it will be possible for US people to buy and sell for fiat. In terms of access to the exchange, because also many people were interested, and Fabio already said in the presentation, we will support the exchange for US people. But since US is a state-based system, we will have to go through each individual state and through certain regulations on a federal level. But we are approaching them one by one, and there will definitely be some available on launch.
Awesome. Tom, I believe this one is for you. Will there be any plans for an expansion for fiat partnerships in other countries? And if so, how are you going to engage the local fiat to crypto exchanges in a country?
Yeah, we are planning to expand fiat partnerships to everywhere possible. For launch, we have a good target that will cover most jurisdictions, but we realize we have a lot of users that don't fall in a traditional jurisdiction. So our plan is to release, similar to the process that we will be using for people who want to list a token, we'll be releasing basically an API specification and a legal requirement guideline to onboard, fiat partners who want to be a fiat exchange gateway on our exchange. And we'll be legally able to do that type of interaction in pretty much any jurisdiction outside of a few bad ones.
Yeah, maybe I can add one word here. So basically the same list of countries that we supported in the ICO will also be supported for our exchange. And of course, we're working on the others, but as the field is constantly changing, we try to keep up with the space and offer as many as possible once we can.
Cool. So open this one to the floor. How difficult will it be, and what length of time could it take to add new chains to the exchange in the future?
So it definitely depends on the chain. You have a non-smart contract capable chain like Bitcoin or Litecoin. Then you have like a non-Turing complete smart contract capable chain, somewhat like Waves or Stellar. And then you have Ethereum and NEO. So for the last portion, it's relatively straightforward, especially if it's an EVM-based chain. Like someone like TRX is the strong derivative of Ethereum, so it would not be very hard for us to have our smart contract on running and operating on their chain. There is other things like EOS where it is EVM compatible, the Ethereum virtual machine, so we could run our native or run our Ethereum contract in EOS, but we would probably not want to do that, as we would get much better results if we work in their platform. So it'll take a little bit more time. When we do go to a chain, we're going to do it as well as possible. That's a long way to say that it will be somewhat difficult depending on the chain. If it's in a chain family that we already support, it could take like a couple weeks. If it's like a fully new chain, something like Cardano, which doesn't have any similar technology, it's a new different technology, so it'll take us a little bit longer to add something like that.
Yeah. Just to complement Tom's, when adding new chains, we'll try to focus on the main liquid ones to bring more business to the exchange. And usually there are many chains which are derived from those. So that should help Tom's team.
Yeah.
We're talking like NEO, it has a derivation. Ethereum has many derivations. Bitcoin has many derivations.
And yeah, so it certainly takes a lot longer, and we're still in the process of finalizing our approach to how we're going to deal with totally non-smart contract capable chains like Bitcoin. We have a few ideas, but once we nail it for Bitcoin, which is essential to our business, that will be applicable to Litecoin, Dash, any similar chain.
Cool. So Fabio previously mentioned researching EOS with a view to adding it to Nex. Is that still the plan? What else are we looking at?
Yeah, so I think Tom answered those questions.
Oh, cool. So open it to the floor again. So during an interview with Blockchain Brad, Fabio talked about Neon Exchange being the first product of Nex. While I consider these 4 blocks as products of Neon Exchange, can you elaborate on the future Nex products?
Right, so Nash products, right?
Nash.
So Nash should have many products. One of those is the exchange. And this is mostly because it's a company. And as a company, it cannot be defined by the single product. So people already know a little bit what our goals are of coming after to payments, getting into both merchant side and both on the customer side. So we will have mobile solution for payments. We will have a point of sale solutions for payments. So when does this comes is a lot variable on the demands from the market. So as a business, we need to do where is demand and there is profit. So our focus right now is getting the exchange system that we promised out of the gate. And as soon as that is there, we will look at our user base, like what's the nature of our user base and how we can bring these new products to them. And how, by bringing these new products, we can increase those user base. So it's not something that we can reply right now. We do have other plans. They are related. So to get a little more concrete, depending on the profile of our traders, maybe they are all professional traders. So maybe they require some kind of terminal system that we can launch as an individual product, maybe it's Prime tools. But if our user base ends up being mostly retail, then we can probably do a double down on the payment side and more retail-focused solutions, like everyday custody, how we can push that further. So it really depends on how the business evolves after the exchange is launched. And after the legal side also, so.
Yeah, maybe I can add. So we will need a lot of licenses for whatever we're planning to do. And of course, we will get them all eventually. If we don't get them soon enough, we will partner up with other companies who own the licenses. But the goal really is to be a one-stop solution and have it all on our own umbrella. And this will involve licenses that basically allow us to do whatever is possible in the finance industry nowadays.
Cool. Will you offer traditional stocks on the Nash platform in the future?
Yeah, so I think technically there are two ways, right? So we could offer the tokenization of traditional stocks and then trade this tokenization. So there are some places doing that. This will require licenses, as Fabio said, is constrained also by legal. And I think a little bit by technically also will depend on what are the constraints on how these can be traded if they are on the blockchain. But at the core of our company, we are a financial service company, and we are trying to push a global access to the finance world, right? So, and decentralization is a piece of it. So if we can put stocks of reputable companies to be traded based on blockchain-based solutions, yes, we will do so. And yes, there is a big market there which has much higher fees than we are used to on blockchain. So it's a profit-bearing possibility.
And how is the mood in the team?
Not exhausted. I would say for myself and a bit of my team, and the guys can feel, but I say we are very hungry. We have not launched it yet. So the mood is at the peak, and we are getting closer, so it's even better. We are having discussions now of when it should be, what should be the conditions. So the mood, I would say, is excited.
Yeah, I would say when we were in Austria, me and Nate and a few others drove out to a mountain, and we saw this. We got to the top of the mountain, and then there was a peak not too far away. And I said, "That's a 15-minute hike." And David said, "No, that's like 2 hours." And so we just started hiking, and it was a very arduous hike, and it was almost 2.5 hours. But when we got to the top, it was very worth it. And during that hike, I don't think we ever got exhausted, but we were wishing for the top of the mountain, so because there was coffee there.
Persevered through.
I don't think I can say that any better. But if I see the question and think about it, I think nobody's actually thinking about how's the mood, because everybody's so focused. And I mean, it's been over a year, and it just feels it was so fast. And I don't think anyone is exhausted yet. That's at least my take on it.
Determined.
Will you try to persuade companies to tokenize their assets?
Should we take questions from the audience?
Be able to see us afterwards. Is Next hiring? Who's in charge of this?
Yeah, so Next is not hiring for some positions and hiring is for others. So Next as a company, yes, is hiring. Who's in charge always depends which is the position. So we are a team. We are not Fabio. We are not Fabian or not Tom. So we have 5 founders, and we have a chief designer, chief marketing, and we have leaders of teams. So if it's a position on front end, probably Ethan is going to interview and meet the person. If it's someone in blockchain, Tom will interview. So who is hiring is like who is in charge depends on the position.
How would you describe the Next culture or Nash culture now?
So we are very aware that culture is one of the most important things in the company. So people-wise is the most important thing, right? So if we look at Next, we really want to build this culture of excellence. So the ask that we do is very high. So we really ask the best that people can deliver. And if people can deliver their best, we are happy and they will be happy in the company. So it's really not a strict company. Like everybody talks to each other and it's very flat at the top. So there's no huge hierarchy, which sometimes can be even messy. But everybody who is working at Next knows that they are held at the best standard possible. So that's the kind of culture that we want to bring, which is respect between each other. So there's no people weeping on the others, but people should be held accountable by themselves to deliver with excellence.
Cool. And that's it, guys. So that's the end of the community questions. There's actually quite a few Nash members here, and I'd like to get you to all stand up if that's possible right now. And then you'll be able to ask any of us questions after here. So these are the guys you should look for.
Yeah. Maybe if I can ask applause for those people,
Yeah.
they're amazing.
Excellent. All good.